Sagittarius, your sister's spirit is near. She wants you to stop blaming yourself. Sagittarius, some losses carve deeper than others, not because of how they happened, but because of who we lost. And when it's someone who shared your laughter, your secrets, your childhood memories, the ache never fully disappears. It just settles deeper into your soul. This message is for you if you've ever lost a sister, or someone who felt like one. If there's a part of you still holding on to the what-ifs, the I should have said, or the I wish I had done more. It's for those who carry a silent guilt, even when no one asked them to. Maybe it was sudden. Maybe it was long and drawn out. Maybe it ended with unresolved words or a moment you keep replaying over and over. But there's something you need to hear now, not from this world but from beyond it. She's still with you. Her spirit hasn't left your side. And no, she's not angry. She's not disappointed. She's not waiting for an apology. She is trying to reach you with love, with peace, with a message that could finally help you let go of the blame you were never meant to carry. In today's sacred journey, we'll walk through the energetic bond that still connects you, the signs she's been sending, and the soul message she's whispering into your heart. It's time to forgive yourself and live again. If this resonates, please like, share, or subscribe. This healing belongs to you, and she's so proud of the soul you've become. Gate 1. An unbreakable bond, and the ache that followed her loss. Sagittarius, no one prepares you for the kind of grief that follows the loss of someone who felt like a mirror to your soul. A sister is more than family. She is often your first friend, your quiet rival, your biggest protector, your most frustrating truth teller. And when she leaves this world, the silence she leaves behind is not just a silence in sound. It's a silence inside you. You may still remember the way she laughed, how she rolled her eyes when you were being dramatic, or how she knew what you were thinking before you said a word. Maybe she was older, always one step ahead, shielding you even when she pretended not to care. Or perhaps she was younger, looking up to you with that wide-eyed trust that made you feel stronger just by existing. No matter the dynamic, the loss is sharp, piercing, and so often the grief becomes entangled with guilt. Not because of anything you did wrong, but because you survived. You're here, and she's not. And that thought alone can tear you in half. I once guided a Sagittarius named Daniel. He had lost his younger sister Mia in a tragic accident, one of those moments where fate seemed too cruel, too sudden. They had argued that day. Something small. Something silly. He told her she was reckless. She told him he was controlling. It was the kind of fight siblings recover from in hours. Except she didn't get the chance. That night she was gone. Daniel spent years replaying that moment, whispering "I'm sorry" into the dark when no one could hear. "It doesn't matter that she never blamed me," he told me once, "because I did." His body was alive, but his spirit had paused, frozen in that memory, in the unbearable weight of what he didn't get to fix. Sagittarius, if you are holding something like that, an apology never spoken, a goodbye that came too fast, a moment where you wish you had done more, you are not alone. Your heart is not broken because you are weak. It's broken because it loved. And love in its purest form is never rational. It creates bonds that extend beyond logic, beyond the material, beyond time itself. The truth is, your connection with your sister didn't end when her breath did. It continues, woven into your dreams, your instincts, your inner knowing. You may still feel her at unexpected moments. A familiar scent when no one is around. A song that plays at exactly the right time. A dream so vivid you wake up reaching for her name. These aren't accidents. They are the soul's way of staying close when the body can no longer do so. But grief has a way of drowning out those signals, especially when it's mixed with self-blame. I should have known something was wrong. I should have been there. I should have told her how much I loved her. But Sagittarius, please hear this. She knows. She knows you loved her. She knows your heart. She knows the weight you've been carrying. And most of all, she never asked you to. In fact, if she could sit beside you now, she would take your face in her hands and say, "You were never supposed to carry my ending. You were meant to carry our story forward with joy." And maybe that feels impossible right now. Maybe joy feels like a betrayal. But I promise you it's not. Because joy was part of your bond too. Remember the time she snuck out of curfew just to bring you that thing you said you wanted? Or how she covered for you when you broke something in the house? Or how she defended you when someone else didn't believe in your dreams? That was love. It wasn't always perfect. No sibling bond is. But it was real. Sacred. Messy and magical in yours. And just because she's no longer physically here doesn't mean that love stopped. She is still watching. Still listening. Still hoping that you'll one day forgive yourself. For a burden that was never yours. You did what you could with what you knew. And even if you feel like you failed her, she sees beyond that now. From the other side, there is only love. Only truth. Only the essence of what your souls shared and still share. Sagittarius, your journey is not about forgetting. It's about remembering with tenderness instead of torment. It's about letting the bond live on in ways that heal you. So sit with your pain. Cry if you need to, but also let yourself feel her presence. Not as a ghost of regret, but as a sister whose spirit is still choosing to love you. And let that be the beginning of your healing. Gate 2. The strange coincidences. Her soul is trying to reach you. Sagittarius, the veil between the worlds is thinner than we think. We've been taught that death is a wall, cold, final, silent. But those who have truly loved and lost know something different. They know that even in silence there is communication. Even in absence there is presence. Even after goodbye the soul still speaks. But here's the thing. It rarely speaks in words. Instead it speaks through patterns. Symbols. Dreams. Sudden moments that seem too precise to be random. And when your heart is still tangled in guilt, it's easy to overlook these messages. Or worse, to doubt them. But she's been reaching out. In soft, subtle ways. You may have chalked it up to coincidence. But it wasn't. Maybe you keep seeing her favorite flower blooming in impossible places. Or perhaps her name appears on a street sign you've passed 100 times. But only now do you notice it. Or you open your phone and a photo of the two of you surfaces from years ago, unprompted. She's been weaving these threads gently into your life. Not to haunt, not to reopen wounds, but to remind you. I'm still here. There's a Sagittarius woman I once met, named Alia. Her sister, Jasmine, passed away unexpectedly at age 25. They'd been close, inseparable even, but hadn't spoken much in the final months due to a misunderstanding that now felt painfully trivial. After Jasmine's passing, Alia began seeing the same number combination, 1111, everywhere. I thought it was just a trend at first, she told me. But then it started showing up constantly. Every time I was crying. Every time I thought about her. Every time I whispered, I miss you. But it wasn't just the numbers. It was the music. The butterflies. The way her bedroom light flickered once, and only once on Jasmine's birthday. All those things people talk about online? Alia said. They're real. They were her. They are her. And that's how souls communicate when they can't use a voice. You see, Sagittarius, your sister's soul knows you. She knows your skepticism. Your fiery mind that needs to make sense of things. That's why she's not showing up as a ghost in your hallway. She knows you'd question it, analyze it, try to logic it away. So instead she's working in whispers. Soft nudges. Familiar songs on the radio. Dreams that feel more like visitations than memory. Moments when you suddenly smell something that belonged to her. Her favorite lotion, the way her hair used to smell in the sun. Even when there's no source around. You may have even felt her energy beside you when you were on the edge of something. Grief, fear, exhaustion. And then like magic, a calm settled over you. That was her. Or perhaps she's been working through others. Have you noticed strangers saying words she used to say? Or someone randomly bringing up her favorite movie? Years after her passing? These are not accidents. They're echoes. The universe becomes her voice. And every time it happens, it's her way of saying, you're not imagining me. I'm right here. And I want you to stop hurting yourself in my name. She sees you lighting candles. She sees you replaying the final moments. She sees the way you try to be strong for everyone else while quietly crumbling inside. But she also sees something you can't always see. Your strength. Your heart. Your ability to turn this loss into meaning. Even if you're not there yet. She's not sending these signs just for comfort. She's sending them as permission. Permission to heal. Permission to feel joy again. Permission to let go of the stories that blame you for what your soul never caused. Because to her, you were never the cause. You were the gift. Sagittarius, your energy is naturally forward-moving. You are wired for purpose, for vision, for belief in tomorrow. But this kind of grief can tether even you to the past. It can wrap your wings in sorrow. It can make you question the very fire that keeps you alive. She knows that. And that's why she's trying so lovingly to remind you who you are. Not by yelling, not by demanding, but by brushing up against your soul in the gentlest ways. A dream so vivid you wake up crying. A laugh you hear in your head and instantly know it's hers. The sudden urge to visit a place you haven't been since you were children, only to find something waiting there that you needed to see. These are messages. These are miracles. But most of all, these are invitations. She is inviting you to believe, not just in her presence, but in your own power to reconnect, to speak to her, to write to her, to open your heart, not to the pain of the loss, but to the love that remains. Because it's not over. Love doesn't die with the body, and neither did she. She's just changed form, and she's hoping you'll begin to feel her more than you mourn her, to see the beauty in the signs she leaves behind, to hear her say, even without words, I never left you. I never blamed you. I only love you. And that love, it's not a memory. It's a presence, a real living force that surrounds you still. Gate 3. The message. She never blamed you, and it's time to forgive yourself. Sagittarius, what if the voice that's been keeping you awake at night, the one that keeps asking, could I have done more? Was never yours to carry? What if it's time to lay down that weight, not because she needs it, but because you do? There comes a moment in every grief journey when the sorrow transforms. Not into joy, not right away, but into truth. And the truth is this. She never blamed you. Not once. Not in her final breath. Not in the moments you didn't understand her. Not in the arguments. Not in the silences. Not even in the choices you now wish you could change. You see, the soul doesn't hold on to the small things the way the mind does. The soul remembers connection, not perfection. And even if her departure felt unresolved, even if your last exchange wasn't the one you would have chosen, it wasn't the one she remembered either. She remembers the moments your eyes lit up in sync, the inside jokes, the night you held her hand under the table because she was scared and didn't want to show it, the times you defended her even when no one saw. She remembers your soul. And she loved you. I once worked with a Sagittarius man named Julian. He lost his older sister, Clara, after years of silence between them. They had grown apart, hurt each other in small, sharp ways. She struggled with mental health. He didn't know how to help. The last time they spoke, he had hung up too quickly, out of frustration, out of fear. Then came the call, the kind that stops time. For years, he couldn't forgive himself. But one day, during a meditation he wasn't even sure he believed in, he saw her. Not in a dream, not as an image, but as a feeling. Her presence filled the space like sunlight. And she didn't say anything with words. She didn't need to. He felt it in his body, peace. And then one simple truth arrived in his heart like a whisper. She never blamed me. That moment didn't erase the grief, but it changed it. It no longer lived as punishment. It became memory, love, legacy. Sagittarius, I want you to imagine your sister/M right now. Not as she was in her last moments, but as her highest, freest soul self. Imagine her with eyes full of clarity, with a heart unburdened by earthly pain, with a presence that is light, expansive, infinite. Now hear her say this. I see you. I see what you've been carrying. And I want you to let it go. Because she doesn't want your life to be a shrine to sorrow. She wants it to be a celebration of the love you shared. She wants you to laugh again, really laugh the way you used to together. To dance again. To make mistakes. To forgive yourself quickly. To say I love you when it matters. She wants you to live fully, not as if you're atoning, but as if you're honoring. Because Sagittarius, you were never supposed to make her journey perfect. You were never supposed to be her savior. You were simply meant to love her, and you did. Even in the imperfection. Even in the messiness of family, of growing up, of trying to navigate life with hearts that didn't always have the words. You loved her. And love doesn't require flawlessness. It requires presence. And yours was there then and now. So if your soul still aches, let it. If tears come, let them fall. But with each breath, begin the practice of returning to this truth. You are not to blame. You never were. And it's okay to let go now. Not let go of her. Let go of the belief that you failed. She never asked you to carry that. In fact, she's been asking you to set it down. Because when you do, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel her not just in the pain but in the joy. In the sunrise. In the wind. In the moments when you laugh without knowing why. You begin to hear her voice not in the echo of regret, but in the encouragement that rises from within. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. Keep going. That is her. Not as a memory, but as a living presence in your journey. Sagittarius, your gift has always been your willingness to grow, to seek meaning in even the hardest moments. And now the meaning is clear. You are being called to forgive yourself. Not because what happened didn't matter, but because you matter too much to stay stuck there. She wants you to love your life again. And she's walking with you until you do. Gate 4, moving forward, not in guilt but in love. Sagittarius, there is a kind of freedom that comes when the blame softens, when the tears begin to carry something different, not just grief but grace. This is not forgetting. This is not moving on. This is moving with her love, with her blessing, with her spirit beside you, cheering you into a life you both dreamed of, but only you can now live. You see, healing doesn't mean replacing what was lost. It means integrating it, allowing it to become a part of you, not as a wound but as wisdom. And your sister's love, her essence, her presence, it's still here. Not just in the memories or the signs she sends, but in who you are becoming because of her. The courage you're reclaiming, the softness you're allowing, the voice you're beginning to trust again, the one inside you that says, it's okay to want more. It's okay to laugh again. It's okay to live. There's a story I'll never forget. A Sagittarius woman named Reina lost her younger sister, Mia, after a long battle with illness. Reina had been Mia's caregiver, her advocate, her everything. But after Mia's passing, Reina couldn't feel joy without guilt. Any moment of happiness felt like betrayal. How could I smile, she asked me, when she doesn't get to? Then one night she had a dream. They were both in a wide field of sunflowers, just like one they had once visited as children. Mia was healthy, vibrant, radiant. She turned to Reina and said, I was never asking you to stop living. I was just waiting for you to bring me with you. Reina woke up in tears. But for the first time in months she also felt peace. Not because the pain disappeared, but because it evolved. She started painting again, volunteering, laughing out loud without apology. She still missed Mia. She always would. But the ache had made room for something new. A sense of companionship, not with the past, but with Mia's spirit in her present. That's the kind of healing your sister wants for you, Sagittarius. She doesn't want you to shrink your joy to match the shadow of her absence. She wants you to expand your life in a way that includes her. Not by staying stuck in sorrow, but by turning that sorrow into something sacred. So how do you do that? You begin by choosing. Gently, daily. You choose to wake up and ask, how can I live today in a way that honors her and nourishes me? You allow yourself to dream again, not as a way of escaping grief but as a way of partnering with it. And when the guilt tries to creep back in, because it will, you meet it with the truth. She would not want me to suffer in her name. That is not the legacy she hoped for you. Her legacy is in your light. In the way you show up for others now with more empathy, more softness, more presence. In the way you forgive quicker, love louder, and dance even when the tears still fall. In the way you choose to speak her name, not with heaviness but with hope. Sagittarius, you are not betraying her by moving forward. You are becoming the living expression of the love you shared. And that is one of the most sacred things any of us can do. So write her a letter. Tell her what you're still carrying. And then tell her what you want to carry from here. Maybe it's her laughter. Maybe it's her courage. Maybe it's just the way she made you feel safe, even when things were falling apart. Let that be your compass. Let her love be your map. And when the days feel too heavy, remember this. You don't have to heal all at once. You only have to open the door to the possibility that love didn't end. It simply changed shape. And in that shape, she is still with you, walking beside you, smiling when you smile, and quietly whispering every time you feel unsure. You're doing great. I'm still proud of you, because you are her sister. You are her heart. And you were never meant to carry this life without joy. She is not asking you to forget her. She is asking you to bring her with you, into your healing, into your dreaming, into your living. And from that place, miracles are not only possible, they're inevitable. Conclusion. Sagittarius. Healing from the loss of someone you loved like a part of your own soul is never about forgetting them. It's about learning to carry them differently, closer to your heart, not heavier on your shoulders. Today you've walked through a sacred remembering. You've seen how the pain of her absence is entwined with the beauty of her presence. You've allowed yourself to feel, to remember, to soften, and maybe for the first time to forgive not just her for leaving too soon but yourself for surviving. That is no small thing. That is a soul awakening. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are shedding the illusions that guilt was ever love, that sorrow was the only tribute worthy of her memory. You are stepping into a deeper truth, that she never needed your punishment. She only ever needed your peace. So live, Sagittarius. Live with the fire she admired in you. Speak your truth. Let your laughter be loud. Love like someone who understands how short and sacred this life truly is. And when the sky feels quiet and the nights feel long, look up, because she is never far. Not really. She lives in the courage it takes to keep going. She lives in the joy you now allow yourself to feel. She lives in you. If this message found its way into your heart, I invite you to like, share, or subscribe to the Zodiac Wisdom channel. There is so much more healing, more love, more soul truth waiting for you. You are not alone on this journey. You never were. And neither was she. Not then. Not now. Not ever.